Good, bright and beautiful Monday, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, providing superior forecasting for the North and Mid-Atlantic 24 hours a day. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith on this bright and beautiful Monday morning, the 5th of October, 2020. We have a diffuse cold front working in to the west this morning. It's providing with partly cloudy to clear skies across New Jersey at the moment. And there was some rain here across the eastern ends of Long Island. We'll get into that in a moment, but that should be exiting. And a little significance with this weak trough and cold front coming through during the midday hours here. We can find the precipitation exiting off the east ends of Long Island and the Cape of the northern New England areas this morning. We'll get into surface high pressure basically in control right now, and temperatures running anywhere from the low to the mid 50s into around 60 around the coastlines here of Jersey. You see this nicely on the National Weather Service's weather and hazard data viewer here this morning. Here's some of the light rain now across eastern Long Island, where they picked up anywhere from about 44 hundredths of an inch of rain here in East Hampton, up to about 81 hundredths of an inch in the last 24 hours here across Montauk Point here on Long Island. Everybody else is basically has seen very little rain, if anything, maybe a hundredth or 200ths of an inch here across New Jersey. For the Jersey Shore here, we have some small craft advisories which are in effect for today until around 2 o'clock this afternoon, and these include seas about 4 to 5 feet, coastal waters of Jersey and Delaware. Until 2 p.m. this afternoon, conditions will be hazardous to small craft at this time. Minimum temperatures this morning across the Lehigh Valley area here in Pennsylvania, northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley area, interior Connecticut in the low and mid 40s, and basically right along New York City, the harbor here down to the coastlines of New Jersey, temperatures were basically bottoming out in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. Taking a look at the national real-time temperatures this morning, they range anywhere from the upper 30s and mid-40s across the UP of Michigan down through the Midwest here. Temperatures also quite chilly across the Intermountain West here, and they're quite warm around the Gulf regions in the low 60s this morning, where it's still quite early here on the Gulf Coast. And there's been a lot of rain here in Florida. We'll get into that in a moment. If we take a look at the 24-hour temperature change here, we can see some warmer weather has been provided for us here in the Northeast over what was here present the last couple of nights. As of this morning, as about 8 a.m., 9 a.m. this morning, and of course some warmer weather here across the plains into south central Canada. Some cooler weather with some ongoing rain showers here across the Ohio and Tennessee River Valley area. All is pretty quiet nationally with our hazards here. We do have some red flag warnings across portions of the Midwest here, and this would be for fire weather danger and parts of New Mexico as well, but the rest of the nation looks quite quiet at this time. There's also some river flooding here in portions of Texas, Louisiana, obviously, down in the Delta and the Mississippi, and portions of Florida as well. And a look at our surface chart this morning. We have a diffuse cold front here stretching from the St. Lawrence River Valley area actually all the way through central Pennsylvania. It's a weak and pretty diffuse cold front here. Of course, down south in the Gulf area here in portions of the Panhandle and northwestern Florida, we have some rain ongoing with a northeast wind around the high pressure zone here, which is centered over the Kentucky River Valley, Tennessee River Valley area here. Not much going on around the west coast either, just a couple of deep trough here coming in with this cold front across the upper Midwest, slicing through the region this morning. And in the tropics, we now have Delta, which is coming along, and that's going to provide a lot of rain along the Gulf Coast areas in the next couple of days. We'll get to that in a moment. And we have aircraft inside of Gamma this morning, and we'll get to Gamma right now. Let's get into Gamma. This is what it looks like on the infrared satellite goes east channel. If we can pull up this plot here. It's quite interesting to see because you'd think that the storm system is here with all the convection off to the north and west and heading into the panhandle area of Florida, but the actual low-level and mid-level circulation is right here, just north of the Yucatan Peninsula where it made landfall, and there's a lot of inflow here. A little bit of shear on the west side, but it does look like most of the convection is to the north and northwest of the storm system, and the low-level and mid-level circulation is right about here. First, let's talk about Gamma. Tropical Storm Gamma is expected to produce heavy rainfall through the midweek over portions of southeastern Mexico, including the Mexican states of Yucatan, Campeche, and Tabasco. The rainfall could result in significant flash flooding over these areas. Even though Gamma is just offshore, tropical storm conditions likely along the northern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula through later today. And we can see the advisories here and how this storm just begins to dissipate once it reaches back into Mexico through Wednesday. But still, it's a large cone of heavy rain associated with this storm over the northern portions of the Gulf here and into the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. So the Air Force now has reserved the fact that they have found Gamma to be a little bit weaker and further weakening expected as of 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time. It's about 165 miles to the east-northeast of Progreso and 150 miles northwest of Cozumel. Maximum sustained winds around 45 miles an hour, and it is moving to the south-southwest at about 2 miles per hour. That is a crawl, and well, this is it. And Tropical Depression 26, what a year we've had here in the Caribbean and the Atlantic and in our hurricane season belt here. To have 26 named storms, this one has now become Delta as of 8 o'clock for the National Hurricane Center. As of 5 a.m., we're going to experience tropical storm conditions around the Cayman Islands later today. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for that area. Dangerous storm surge and hurricane conditions possible in portions of western Cuba and in the Isle of Youth on Tuesday afternoon. And a hurricane watch is now in effect for these areas as well. Heavy rainfall will affect portions of Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, western Cuba during the next few days, and this rainfall could lead to significant flash flooding and mudslides. System forecast to approach the northern Gulf Coast later this week as a hurricane, and there is large uncertainty on the track and intensity. There's a risk of dangerous storm surge, wind, rainfall, and around the coastlines of Louisiana to western Florida Panhandle. And we'll get into that in just a moment as well. Right now, as of 8 o'clock this morning, the National Hurricane Center has now deemed this tropical depression into Tropical Storm Delta. And now we're in the fourth named storm of the Greek alphabet here. I don't think I've ever seen this happen before in all my forecasting years. Right now, it's about 130 miles east of Negril, Jamaica, about 270 miles southeast of Grand Cayman. Its wind's about 40 miles an hour. It's moving to the west-northwest at about 9 miles per hour. That's not so much of a crawl. And again, hurricane watch is in effect for Cuban provinces of Pinar del Rio and Artemisia and Island of Youth. Tropical storm warning also in effect for the Cayman Islands, including Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. Tropical storm watch in effect for Cuba's province of La Habana. And a hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions are possible within the watched area, generally within the next 48 hours. We'll take a look at the tropical storm guidance here from weathernerds.org, combining the European ensemble guidance with the track of Delta, which was storm number 26 here. And if we look at the GFS ensemble guidance too, it's suggesting that this is going to hit somewhere in the Gulf regions of the Panhandle of Florida, possibly most likely southern Louisiana once again by later in the week. And if we looked at the rest of the guidance here, which is the ensemble guidance, and even the UK Met ensemble guidance is still suggesting a hit somewhere around anywhere from the Gulfport regions of the Panhandle into portions of Louisiana by the end of the week. Not good. Looking at Delta this morning on the satellite infrared satellite imagery with clusters of showers and thunderstorms wrapping around the center here now, especially on the east side and the north side of the storm system with very little shear on the west side. So this storm is going to be a pretty potent uh, problem here for the Gulf as it makes its way northward over the next couple of days. Going back into Delta this morning, Tropical Storm 26, which is now Delta, is now a tropical storm, and it is expected to go over the western portions of Cuba and the Hispaniola Islands here as we head into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning here, becoming a hurricane as it makes its way into the Gulf states here. And then it will be a hurricane as it approaches this large cone around Louisiana and Alabama, and then eventually it weakens into a tropical storm. But there's going to be some storm surge here, warnings and surface wind. Let's take a look at some of this, which is going on right now. So we have a hurricane watch in these areas, and obviously the hurricane warning here for Jamaica, or just south of Jamaica as well at this time. We went over the key messages, the wind speed probabilities. This is going to be important as we head into the later part of the week. There's going to be some strong hurricane force winds out here in the Gulf. It's going to stir up the waters here, cool the waters, and definitely going to provide for rough seas here along the Gulf Coast from Texas all the way into the western panhandle of Florida and onshore as well into the low-lying sections of southeastern Louisiana and the Mississippi and Alabama regions during the week ahead. And we will get back into the tropics in just a moment. I just wanted to cover the national coronavirus activity map here provided from flustar.com. Obviously today we see an expansion of the coronavirus here in Washington, Oregon, and Northern California, and it's very deep and hardy across the northern plains, now stretching into the Great Lakes region. It's also expanded quite a bit here through the Central Plains and Southern Plains here into western panhandle of Texas as well, and into the Mississippi and Ohio River Valley areas here into the Carolinas. So this is a very serious condition. Even though we're looking at Florida here, which doesn't look too good to me at this point, and New Jersey and the Northeast looking okay at this time, we're still reporting a large amount of people that are starting to test positive for this virus. And this is a very serious looking map to me. When I see this. Now, when we look at the cold and flu that's breaking out across the upper Midwest here, it seems to be okay for most of the region right now. A lot of people are confusing the coughing that's going on right now with COVID, but might be, might not be. Could be seasonal allergies too, but there's lots of coughing here across the upper Midwest and the Central Plains. Looking at the strep index here, we're seeing strep developing across southeastern New Jersey, also portions of northern New England, and in various parts of the country here. Large amounts of people obviously reporting fever at this time. And when we look at the flu map, which is going to show virtually nothing, we go back to the COVID map, and we're not going to confuse the flu with COVID, which is complicating things enough. So today's worst cities, if you're in these areas like Rapid City, Dickinson, North Dakota, South Dakota, Valentine, Nebraska, Traverse City, Michigan, and Pierre, South Dakota, these are the worst cities today experiencing cold and flu at this time. This is not COVID, but is categorized as cold and flu. Best cities here, Hartford, Connecticut, Boston, and Rochester, New York, seeing very little in the way of cold and flu activity during today. And cold and flu map, let's bring that back up. Local allergies for today will be on the low to the medium side, and tomorrow on the low to medium side as well here in northern New Jersey. And if we look at the week ahead, we'll be on the low to medium side as we head into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. Oh, let's look at the Weather Prediction Center 7-day charts here. We've got Gamma out here north of the Yucatan Peninsula this morning. It's going to continue to drift to the south-southwest. Look at all this rain that's occurring in Florida, and it's been pouring in areas, and it's going to continue to pour as we head into the week ahead. There'll be some advisories here for chances of moderate to heavy rain. Meanwhile, the Midwest has a weak diffuse cold front. Areas of high pressure giving way to low pressure across the west coast as we head into the week. But Florida looks pretty wet, especially the southern end here as we head into the week ahead with a stalled out frontal boundary, heavy rainfall over portions of Florida. And that's going to continue with the remnants and tropical storm outflow from Gamma and also Delta as well with that stalled out front. Comes a weak front now through the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes area here as we head into Wednesday. That front moves off the coast of the eastern United States, and we got beautiful weather here in the Northeast on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But granted, that is going to be a northeast flow, and winds will veer around to the southeast, and the remnants of Gamma coming onto the shoreline here of the Delta around Shreveport, Louisiana, possible, and that rainfall now heads into the southeast. So if you're in Florida this week, it's going to be pretty wet and cloudy and pretty stormy, and then high pressure just basically continues to take control. Western United States gets a little bit wetter, obviously, as the pattern begins to change a little bit here, and across the eastern United States, especially northern New England and the mid-Atlantic coast states, were pretty dry throughout this forecast period. As we look at the National Digital Database, Weather Prediction Center's total precipitation for the continental United States here, finding very little moisture here in the northeast as well. And all the contributions of Gamma and Delta here across the Delta regions here of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the southeastern states here. This is where some of the heaviest rainfall will be occurring through next Monday, October the 12th. Meanwhile, back to the west, another contribution of heavy rain coming into Washington and Oregon as the pattern begins to change just a little bit. Lots of things changing here in the mix for the National Weather Service's National Digital Forecast Database for high temperature anomalies over the United States over the next 7 days. It's been very warm across the west and central plains. It's been lightly cooler here across the Tennessee, Ohio, Mississippi River Valley area, but that's all going to translate as we move through the week into a western pattern. It's going to be still hot across the northern plains and central plains where they're already experiencing COVID. And COVID doesn't seem to have anything to do with the temperatures either being cool or hot. And as we head into the forecast period through the next 7 days, temperatures nationally from east of the Continental Divide are generally going to be above normal for temperature highs, and it's going to cool down across the Colorado Rockies and the Intermountain West and portions of California with that new surge of moisture and rain coming into the Northwest during the next 7 days. And with that being said, across the New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia I-95 corridor, we're looking for temperatures today, anomalies being about normal for where they should be. A few degrees above normal on Tuesday and Wednesday at about 5-6 degrees above normal here in temperatures. Then the cold front comes through with some showers on it Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Thursday's temperatures look to be about 2, maybe 3 degrees below where they should be for this date. And then that cool polar air mass comes in with temperatures about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees below normal across the region on Friday. But that's short-lived because that rebounds to 5 and 6 degrees above normal by the time we head into Saturday with beautiful weather conditions across the region this weekend coming up. This is next weekend coming up with temperatures on Sunday as well, about 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees above normal for this time of the year. And the last thing I'll do this morning is give you the northwestern flow here over northern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley area. Here's the showers that are exiting eastern Long Island, and some cumulus into the southwestern portions of Pennsylvania with the diffuse cold front, northwestern flow. And the one thing that I'm going to leave you with is, I live in a condo, so, why is the heat on already? I mean, if we're going to be utilizing heat this early in the season, which in my personal opinion we should not be, then that means that everything is going to go up in charge.